This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Is the After Party live on a Travel Tuesday. Hey, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. And thank you for supporting the show in all the ways that you do. I'm watching the chat, love the conversations happening, and that everyone really knows each other, what's going on with each other's lives. And I'm really happy that this is a place to come and kind of relax and just gather together and chat for a little bit and hang out and maybe feel better about the world. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you to everyone who crowdfunds this crowdfunded show. That includes Wes, who kicked in $5 to the effort. Also, a recurring monthly PayPal contribution from Kim N. Yesterday, Wes with another $5. Mary Zane, Deborah S. Thank you guys for your contributions to the After Party Live. Just so appreciate it very, very much. Today, we're traveling to a place that I had never heard of. And I don't know if any of you've been there. Please tell me in the chat if you have. It's called Menorca, and it's the smaller island as opposed to Majorca. It is an island that is under Spanish rule. And I thought we'd take a little look at Menorca because I'd never heard of it. And when I saw the pictures, I thought this place needs to be highlighted. This is really, really beautiful. So we'll go to Menorca together. But first, I have some other stories to talk about. And this includes the lead story today, which was submitted twice, once by Julie D. and once by shadow producer Calvin Wong. And this story is about a hiker that was saved by this sweet little chihuahua. This story happened in an icy area where there are crevasses and people have accidents, right? You would maybe expect a working dog, maybe a husky or a Malamute, to save the day in this situation. But it turns out the hero of this story is just a tiny, tiny chihuahua who had such a love for his owner, his friend, his human friend, that this dog has a huge role in what happened here. So this man fell into a crevasse in an ice glacier in Switzerland. And he had an amateur walkie-talkie that he thankfully carried and used to call for help. The Air Zermatt Rescue Service said a person nearby received the distress call. They called emergency services, but they were having a really tough time locating this man. Finally, an Air Zermatt helicopter rescue team reached the area, hunted for this missing man. They say the glacier surface was wide and the hole he fell into was barely visible. In what is called a decisive moment, one of the rescue specialists spotted a small movement on a rock, and it was this little chihuahua. This little dog was perched right next to the hole into which its owner had fallen. I mean, just amazing. The dog didn't run away. The dog wasn't out goofing off in the snow. The dog knew there was some problem afoot and sat there right next to the hole where its person had fallen into. Here's a picture of that. It's pretty incredible. This little dog just perched right next to this hole. And you can see here how small the hole is in this tundra, this area. How they might not find someone in this little tiny hole, right? There's the dog sitting on this rock. And from above, they see movement on that rock. The rescuers say thanks to the dog's behavior, the crew was able to locate the exact site of the accident. They sailed down to the man who had fallen and were able to save him. And they said of this chihuahua, the dog did not move during the entire operation and closely followed every movement of the rescue specialists. Every movement. They say it's fair to say this behavior contributed significantly to this successful rescue. They call this dog a four-legged hero who may have saved his master's life. So beautiful. The story posted on CBS News. And again, thank you to Calvin Wong and Julie D for sending that story in. Pretty great one. I think we actually followed this story about this wallaby who escaped in Cudahy. This woman has in Wisconsin, Cudahy, Wisconsin, had this wallaby in her care and it escaped. And now she's fighting to keep this creature. I have a problem with people having these kinds of animals in their homes, right? I mean, it's even almost to me worse than a zoo. But nevertheless, this woman purchased this wallaby that she named August from a flea market in Racine, Wisconsin last year. She says she's opened her entire home to this wallaby who's a year and a half old. She said, my kids were like, that's interesting. That is something no one has. Let's buy him. Gee, that's a great reason to buy a wallaby. They say August never caused trouble until the woman got a call saying this wallaby was seen roaming around the town of Cudahy. It freaked me out, she said, because I was like, oh my God, he got away. The outside of her home, they say, is like his sanctuary. There's a pool, there's plenty of food, but that is where this wallaby escaped from. The Cudahy police rescued August near a FedEx facility hours after his escape. And they let the animal go back to this house. And they said that when they gave the wallaby, back to this woman, that it came with a warning. They said the health department is saying he is a wild animal, and the city ordinance says you cannot have a wild animal. So now this woman has 5 days to turn August over to the animal control people or to find him a different home. And she says she's going to fight this. She says he's very much domesticated. And she said, what's the definition? A tamed animal used as a pet or on a farm? Obviously, she said, he's my pet. He's tamed. But a city ordinance in the town of Cudahy says wild animals are not allowed, but it doesn't specifically list a wallaby. So the Cudahy Health Department has been contacted. They're trying to figure out if a wallaby is a wild animal. Does it count as a pet? What's happening here? So this woman, Linda Roaster, who has owned this wallaby that she bought at a flea market, because that's different, is now fighting to keep the wallaby. What do you think? Do you think a wallaby is a wild animal and should not be kept as a pet? And if it is a pet, then, or if it's not a pet, I should say, if you consider it a wild animal, then what are the places where you should be able to have a wallaby? A farm petting zoo? A zoo? Oh, an animal sanctuary? Where can a wallaby be? I definitely don't think wallabies should be sold at a flea market. Wes says you can buy monkeys at some flea markets in Florida. Oh, gosh. That freaks me out. Man. Tammy says, I wonder if they are pets in Australia. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a mini kangaroo. They are very cute, but I just don't think that's a pet. I don't know. Maybe my mind isn't open to the possibility of wallabies being pets. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think so. Heather says she shouldn't have gotten this as a pet in the first place. But now that he's domesticated, it's better for him to stay where he is. Although you could make the argument, Heather, that if you let one lady have a wallaby, you got to let every lady have a wallaby. Wes says, yeah, if it was raised as a pet, it can never be wild. I think you take it to an animal sanctuary. Mindy says that's her pet. She loves it. I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. And I don't think animals should be sold at flea markets. That seems wrong to me, you know? Speaking though of, as we did a moment ago, and thank you to Calvin for the wallaby story. Speaking of ice and glaciers, melting glaciers and ice caps could unleash a wave of volcanic eruptions. Well, this isn't good. No, nobody wants that. Ain't nobody got time for that. No. With the world in chaos already, the last thing we need is ice caps, glaciers, and volcanic eruptions. But hey, maybe that's where we're headed. That's it's where we're headed if you believe this new study. Here's what it would look like. The exploding ice glacier volcano. Let me get rid of our wallaby. And there it is. Yeah. This is a a study that was done with researchers in Chile. They say the melting of glaciers and ice caps because of the climate crisis could unleash explosive volcanic eruptions, not just one, but many, because the loss of ice releases the pressure on the underground magma chambers and makes eruptions more likely. So if there's nothing pushing down, apparently things will push back up. The process, they say, has been seen in Iceland, which is an unusual island that sits on a mid-ocean tectonic plate boundary. But the research being done in Chile is one of the first studies to show a surge in volcanism on a continent in the past after the last ice age ended. The biggest risk of a resurgence of volcanic eruptions comes in West Antarctica, where at least 100 volcanoes sit under thick ice. The researchers say this is very likely to be lost in the coming decades as the world warms. The volcanic eruptions can cool the planet temporarily by shooting sunlight reflecting particles into the atmosphere, but they say sustained eruptions would pump significant greenhouse gases into the atmosphere too, and that would include carbon dioxide and methane, and that would further heat the planet and cause a vicious circle in which rising temperatures melt ice that lead to further eruptions and more global warming. The hotter it gets, the more the ice melts, the more blasts we get. The research was led by the University of Wisconsin at Madison. They say as glaciers retreat due to climate change, findings suggest these volcanoes go on to erupt more frequently and more explosively. The research has been presented at a geochemistry conference in Prague. They're doing the final stages now of academic review, and detailed work on one volcano called the Mocho Choshuenco used radioisotope dating to estimate the age of volcanic rocks produced before, during, and after the last ice age. They said in this volcano that when the Patagonian ice sheet covered the area, they looked then at minerals in the rocks and revealed the depth and temperature at which the rocks formed. And it revealed the thick ice cover suppressed the volume of eruptions between 26,000 and 18,000 years ago. That allowed a large reservoir of magma to build up about 6 to 9 miles below the surface. And after the ice melted, from about 13,000 years ago, the pressure on the magma chamber was released, the gases in the liquid or molten rock expanded, and explosive eruptions followed. So, they say deglaciation, it's a word, means that volcanoes will start to erupt way more. And it also changes their composition as well. That's the magma melted crustal rocks while eruptions are suppressed. and that made the molten rock more viscous and more explosive upon eruption. And the research says, listen, this phenomenon is not isolated or limited to Iceland. It could also occur in Antarctica, other continental regions like parts of North America, New Zealand, and Russia, all now also warrant closer scientific attention. They know that volcanic activity increased around the world by 2 to 6 times after the last ice age. But this study done in Chile is apparently one of the first to show how it happened. So they say that there's a similar phenomenon reported with the analysis of rocks in Eastern California in 2004. So I don't know. I guess the world is ending. We're all going to die in a giant blaze of glory, right? I saw this story and I thought these were so interesting. Check this out. These were unearthed. They are 4 heads of lions kind of on these metal discs. They have different facial expressions. They were found in an ancient Roman grave in Israel. What are they? What do you think they are? Door knockers? I'm going to the chat. What do you think they are? Here's what they look like without the dirt and grime. Hmm. What do you think? Maybe wall hangers? I don't know. Fingers? Symbols? Yeah, you clink them together. There you go. Middle pieces for shields? Like you would attach it to your shield as a decorative ornament? Perhaps. Looks to me, says Sandy, like maybe a door knocker or some kind of decoration. Gladiator chest plate, says Tammy. Yeah, why not, right? It turns out, according to archaeologists who found the items, that they think because they were found in a grave, that they were for a different purpose, that perhaps they were used as a decoration for the casket. That's what they think. They found 8 Roman cist graves, which are burial chambers lined with stones, and the discs were found in one of these tombs. According to an archaeologist, the tomb was still sealed. In addition to the unique bronze lion head discs and ring handles, the grave also had human bones, glass vessels, wood fragments, and a nail. And so researchers think the deceased was buried in a wooden coffin that had long since disintegrated. But the metal lions didn't disintegrate. Nope, they were still there. This was discovered, these 4 bronze discs, in a 1900-year-old Roman grave in central Israel. The artifacts depicts lions' heads in high relief, each slightly different with facial features and manes. They published it in a recent issue of Antiquat, which is the Journal of Israel Antiquities Authority. They say the discs were found in 2018 during a salvage excavation ahead of road construction. This about 10 miles northeast of Tel Aviv. Archaeologists, they say, find these mysteries surrounding these artifacts to be unsolved. They say this is weird because there are really no traces of Roman settlements in this area. They first started excavating here in 1995. And they're not sure about these newly discovered lion heads. They say the lion, historically, is known to symbolize strength, courage, and nobility in cultures around the world. But dozens of similar lion artifacts have been discovered in present-day Israel. Whoever was living there, whatever they were doing, they were big on the lions. There were 40 samples of such lions, many holding rings in their mouths. When the ring was in their mouth, they think maybe it was a door knocker. The newly discovered discs also featured rings, but they're attached at the top of the lion's head rather than in their mouths. So they don't think that while they were ornamental that these were door knockers. So they hypothesized the discs were attached to the wooden coffin and the rings were used to lower it into the grave. That the ancient mourners may have threaded bars through the rings to maneuver the coffin more easily. These discs were found in a neat pile beside the grave, and that puzzled researchers because if the discs were coffin handles, then why were they stacked in what looked to be some kind of deliberate pile right on the side of the tomb? If they were on the coffin, they would have been in different locations and fallen off in that spot, right? They say while it may be claimed they fell off the wooden coffin during the burial ceremony, it seems unreasonable that all four discs fell on the same side, that it's more likely the discs were taken off and placed there. So far, they haven't found any other graves in this area that held lion's head discs. And they think that because of that, and because of the lion's significance in Roman culture, that this had to be the grave of someone of high status. They're hoping that future excavations will maybe yield similar artifacts and a better understanding of how the lion head handles were used and what they meant in that culture. It's interesting. Here's the other picture of the lion's heads. So here's what they look like when they were found. See how they're kind of all in the same area stacked? Kind of like that. Then they took them and they cleaned them up and they realized they're all different looking, but really cool carvings. I guess we'll never really know, you know? All right, are you guys ready for it? It's time to travel on Travel Tuesday. Woohoo! We're going to Menorca. Pack your swimsuit and your flip-flops and your hiking boots and some snacks, maybe some iced tea, some Coachella Valley iced tea. Here we go. We're going. Going to the chat. Kim, we in the after party chat have decided those lion heads are pasties for the nipples, and this is our final answer. You have to put the lion head back up. Perhaps you're right. If you look at the side view of the lion, Sandy, I mean, you could definitely, fit some boobage in there. Yeah, I concur. Lion nipple pasties. Excellent. All right, here we go. We're going to Menorca. Look at this place. It's beautiful. Can you see us there? We have a boat cruise scheduled for 2:30. So we just have time to check out the island before we have to climb aboard our boat for a sunset cruise. Sorry, my tea is falling all over the place over here. Here we go. Got my passport. Took off my shoes for TSA to get on my way to Mallorca. Here we go. Time to travel. That's right. It's Menorca. 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 That's where we're going. So this is a really cool little island that is part of Spain. It is the second largest of Spain's Balearic Islands. It is known, Menorca, for its pure white beaches, its rocky little coves, its culture-filled cities, and its amazing fresh food. Of all the Balearic Islands, Menorca may well be the most idyllic. The middle of the island has some sleepy stone villages, fields of vegetables, goats and cows, a lot of agriculture. The coast is a lot more built up. There are family-friendly resorts, larger cities, and some of the world's best beaches. And that means you really have it all in this one little spot. There's so many things to do in Menorca, whether you're going to go hang out at the beach or look at these old little cities. So much to do. So let's go. to Menorca. The first thing we're going to go do is visit Cala Tortuga. It is located on the north coast of Menorca. This is a beach with white sand, turquoise waters, and fewer people around than other beaches in Menorca. It's not the easiest beach to get to, but that's okay. We don't need it to be the easiest beach to get to. There it is, because we're just going virtually, but that's fine. There we are, all on the beach. See us? Ah, take a deep breath in. That sea air. That smells so good. You might not want to bring kids here, but that's okay. We're leaving. We ditched the kids. We're leaving them at home. That's it. Mama, get a sitter. We're done. The folks there in Menorca have a bus that runs out here, so you can take the bus to the lighthouse and then walk down to the beach. They say if you're going, go in the early morning to avoid the worst of the heat and bring plenty of water because there are no facilities at this beach. So you've got to bring everything you want for the entire day. And that is Cala Tortuga on the north coast of Menorca with the white sand and the turquoise pristine waters. It's beautiful. Then we're going to walk around the old town and the port of Ciutadella. Oh, that sounds nice. And here it is. Look at that cute little town. Lots of great restaurants. Walk along the waterway, look at all the boats. That sounds fun. It's a charming town on the west coast of Menorca. And there's so much to do here. You can check out the Catalan Gothic Cathedral. You can just wander around the winding streets. You can go hang out in one of the many really amazing plazas in this town. But one of the best things to do in Ciutadella is to go to the port and see the mix of fishing boats and yachts that are coming and going out of this canal. Lots of great bars here and restaurants. We'll just take a little walk to look at all the boats, and then we'll go have some lunch. What do you think? They say there's some of the best food in the region on this island, in this city, port of Ciutadella. And maybe after dinner, what say we don't go try Menorca's famous gin? Gin, says Heather. Why, yes, gin. Look at this. There are tasting rooms, all kinds of cool things going on in this great little island. The Xoriguer gin is distilled on the island. It starts with an X. Xoriguer for those trivia happy folks. Xoriguer gin is distilled on Menorca, and you can visit a tasting room in Mahon to sample all of their different distilled drinks. You can take a tour of the distillery to learn how it's made, and they include a tasting in the tour. So there you go. Take a tour, have a taste. Hey, we're from wine country. We know how that works. Or if you don't want to take the tour, I kind of want to take the tour, you can go to a bar. It's at bars all over the island. You can taste the gin. You can order it when you visit a bar or a restaurant. You could order a standard gin and tonic, or you could try a pomada, which is a refreshing drink using sparkling lemonade and slices of lemon. A great, they call it aperitivo before dinner on a hot summer day. Seeing as how we just got back from the hot beach, we'll take a pomada, please. One for everyone. Thank you. How many people are here? 44. 44 pomados, please. And maybe for dessert, we can have an ensaimada. It is a chewy, flaky pastry from the Balearic Islands. They say it's shaped like an elephant ear. Oh, yes, it is. It's made from flour, eggs, sugar, and pork lard. It makes it incredibly rich. It's not vegetarian friendly, but you can find ensaimadas all over Menorca. They come in all different flavors. They say one of the best is at Patisseria Habera in Ciutadella. Perfect for an afternoon snack, or a lot of people have them with breakfast alongside the coffee. You know. All right. Flip to the next page because it's day 2 in Menorca, and we're going to discover the beaches along the south side of the island. Oh, yeah. Look at that little picnic table for us. We're good to go. The beaches on the north side of Menorca tend to be a little more wild than the Balearic coves, rocky coves in the south. They're also a little more crowded, especially in the summer. Menorca, one of the most popular vacation destinations in Spain. They have a lot more resort style accommodations on the south of the island, great for families. But if you don't have kids, which we left those at home, you can still find secluded coves if you're willing to clamber over rocks and through stunning pine forests. Cala Mithana, they say, is a can't miss beach spot in the southern part of Menorca. It is beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And when you get tired of sitting on your butt reading a book and drinking a pomada, why not take one of the world's most beautiful hiking trails? Look at that. That is so pretty. The trail is called the Camí de Cavals. It is an ancient 114-mile trail around the island of Menorca. It encircles the entire island. It allows you to take in some of the most spectacular views in Menorca, from historical lighthouses to the tiny coves and beaches, rocky pathways, the areas of farmland. Usually it takes about 2 weeks to complete, but it's possible to walk parts of it during a trip to Menorca as a day activity. So we're not rocking around the whole island, but we're walking around parts of it. We could do that much, right? Besides, we have to work off all the gin that we drink. There's a lot of history in this town as well. It kind of looks like the stones of Scotland, doesn't it? Yeah, pretty cool. One of the best things for couples to do on this island is go to a bar. It's called Cova de Enxorai. It's this bar that is tucked into the cliffs. It's a popular spot for watching the sunset with a cocktail in your hand and enjoying live music. It's one of the best beach clubs in Menorca. They say it gets really busy in the summer, in the late afternoon, so go early to get the beach view and the best view. You can also take a boat tour. Another great way, if you don't have 2 weeks to walk around the whole island, the boat tour, a great way to see more of Menorca from the water and visit some of these hard to reach beaches. They say there are boat options for every budget, from group tours to private yacht hires. You can rent your own boat and you don't even need a license to head out and explore the coves with just your group. Kind of fun. There's a full day boat tour, there's a shorter small group boat tour. They have snorkel gear and drinks on the boat. What could go wrong? Pretty fun. You can navigate around the small coves, Cala Massarella, Massarelletta, Cala de Turqueta, Cala Mithana. Those are just a few of them. And this is the history of the island. They have some impressive Iron Age structures from more than 3 millennia ago. They're from the Talayotic civilization the people used to live on this island. You can find stone structures in almost every corner. Two of the most impressive and well-preserved sites, Trapuco and Torralba den Salort. So that looks fun. You could take a day trip to the island's capital of Mahon. It has the largest natural harbor of anywhere in the Mediterranean. It's a popular naval base. It has been throughout history. It's been ruled by many different countries, so you can see foreign influence all over the city, especially in its cobbled lanes and its grand buildings as well. Mahon. Yeah. They have a huge fish market in this town. It's called Mercat de Pi. They pay, Peix, pay. Did I say it wrong? It's a beautiful building with stands selling freshly caught fish in the morning, serving up seafood tapas at lunch. They're everything you could want here, from prawn croquetas to anchovies and tomatoes. It's also very close to a gin distillery. Both are indoors, so if it's raining in Menorca, these are great things to do if it rains. And then they say, why not Go up to Monte Toro. You would think Monte Toro would be a mountain, but apparently it is, while the highest point in Menorca, not exactly a mountain. You do, though, get some of the most amazing views from Monte Toro. And on a clear day, on a very clear day, they say you can see Spain, the mainland, from Monte Toro. So I think that might be worth it. I don't know. Going trekking up here to see if we can see what we can see if we can see Spain. Here's the view from Monte Toro. Look at that. You can kind of see it in the distance there, right? I can see it way off in the distance. Sure. It's easiest to drive up to Monte Toro. You could walk, but it's a really long walk. A lot of traffic. Even though there's a lot of traffic and it's a long ways, it's one of the most idyllic walks you can do in Menorca. They say it gets really hot in the island's interior during the summer. So if you're going to do that, you have to go early. We'll drive. We're going to drive, right? Everyone aboard the giant Tapple bus. We're going. One of the other things you can do is try some local cheese. Mahon cheese, fromage de mayo, or queso de mahon, is made from cow's milk. You can have it young, semi-cured, or cured. The different levels of aging affect the flavor and texture of the cheese, and you'll find it in plenty of restaurants on the island, served as part of a cheese platter or with bread and fresh tomato. If you're driving around the center of the island, you'll find stalls and farms selling homemade cheese. As a matter of fact, you can even take a cheese making class on this island. I think the Menorca cheese making class actually sounds kind of fun. I have a, I'll bring it up. I think we could take a cheese making class. I think Mama will probably make the best cheese in class, but I don't know. Perhaps we all have it going. Menorca cheese making. You can register for this Menorca cheese making class and fresh product tasting. How about you guys make the cheese and I'll do the fresh product tasting? How about that? It looks really fun though. And look at this picture over here. I'll kind of blow it up. You can see this is a great thing to do with kids as well. There's little kids making cheese. There it is. And then you get to taste the cheese afterward. So that's a fun activity to do. Doesn't that look fun? I think it looks fun. We'll go do that. Do some cheese making, have a little gin. This trip is getting better and better. I mean, come on. I think this is great. How about learning about Menorcan wine? This island is uniquely positioned so that the weather is slightly cooler than the other islands around it. It offers a little relief in the summer months, not a lot because it still gets pretty hot, but it makes an ideal temperature for growing wine. And one of the most famous wineries in Menorca is the Bodegas Binafide. I hope I'm saying it right. It sure is pretty. And that's saying something from someone who is around wineries all the time, living in the wine country here. But it looks like a really cool place, this winery. I mean, it looks much like a winery, but you can go taste the wine here. Come discover the world of wine on the island with different activities. Binafide. Yeah. Looks beautiful. There's not a lot to see on their website, but they have a wine store and a restaurant and visits and tastings, all kinds of things. You have to buy tickets to go into the winery, though. What about splashing around a water park? They say one of the best things to do, especially if you have kids, is to go to a water park. There are a few of them dotted around the coast, but the best one is Splash sur Menorca, which is on the south coast. They have large water slides and a lazy river and a jacuzzi. For the younger kids, they have an adult-friendly area as well, and there's some restaurants in this zone. What about taking a look at Fornells. This is a really cool looking town. The whole place looks like it's whitewashed, which you might say, since when is that a good thing? But it's kind of cool looking. Again, the town of Fornells. And here's what it looks like. All of these really cool buildings. You can see it's kind of let me take this away, a whitewashed town with all the buildings look very similar. The town of Fornells is a beautiful old fishing village on the north of the island, the perfect place to walk along the port and watch the traditional Menorquina boats coming and going, explore the whitewashed alleyways and the beautiful houses. They say go to Fornells to eat because there's an amazing restaurant right on the seafront called Yangosta that serves traditional Menorcan lobster dishes, rice dishes, and tapas as well. Another great seafood place, Restaurante La Guapa. Mm. And then walk around Menorca's white village, Binabeca. One of the most stunning, best things to do in Menorca for a day out. The white stone buildings adorned with bright pink bougainvillea, pale green cacti. They say you'll be stopping constantly to snap just one more picture of something that captured your attention. There's also a fishing bay and a beautiful beach in this area, a lot of ice cream parlors, and some nice beaches and bars to relax in after an afternoon of walking around. Very cool. So that is the island of Menorca. I think it looks pretty fun. I think I'm gonna put it on my list. Are you putting it on your list of places to go? It looks really cool. And who knew? Did you go? Has anyone ever been there? I'm going to the chat. See what you guys have to say about this. Maybe someone has been to Menorca. Mindy says it's beautiful. I would go there. Absolutely. Oh, we're talking about Pasta Moon. I've never been there. I don't know. In Half Moon Bay? Water parks are filled with gin, Heather. There you go. That's nice. Gin, cheese, and wine. Those are the 3 food groups. I knew you would approve, right? Wes says, in California, I made my own farmer's cheese when I made Polish pierogies. It was hard to find farmer's cheese there. On the East Coast, it's everywhere. Fun. How did you know I've made cheese before? Because I know you're a chef and you during food trivia, you always knock it out of the park. I pay attention, Mama. You see? I do. I'll handle the gin tasting, I guess, says Be Aware. Very fun. Okay, Kim went swimming, is my guess. Could you not hear me? Did I go away? Can you hear me now? I hope you can hear me now. I don't think I'm muted. Hopefully you can hear me. On a map, Menorca is only a short boat ride to Mallorca. That's right. And it's called Menorca because that means it's the smaller island. It's kind of like Mallorca Junior, is what they say. Audio is fine. Oh, phew. Thank you. Okay. So that's it. That's Travel Tuesday. And I think this is an amazing looking place, Menorca. A place I didn't know existed until today. But I'm glad we got to explore it together. There's the gin and Saimadas, the beaches, the hiking, the history, the cool towns. Oops, that's the little chihuahua. There you go. And thus we come to the end of an after party live. But hasn't it been fun? I've had a great time with you guys. And I would love to go there. Heather says I keep getting confused about the Menorca Mallorca thing. Yeah, apparently I wish I had Wes as the Tony of the show. He could just throw up a map for me. They're not so close, they're not so far apart. And again, you saw with that picture from the hilltop that I'm just looking for the map, that you could see Spain on a clear day. So here's a map. That's a map of Menorca. Okay, here's the one I want to show you. See if I can get this up here. Well, that sounds nasty, doesn't it? Okay, so here's the map. So they're really pretty close together if you look at it. That is Majorca, which is big, and then right off the coast over here is Menorca. So, I mean, if you were going, wouldn't you want to do both islands, really? Right? Here it is. I don't know if you can see that. That's pretty cool. I'd heard of Majorca, but I hadn't heard of Menorca. So there you go. I'm down to go. And there's the map. All right. Tomorrow it is Waterfall Wednesday, so we'll have some relaxing waterfalls to see. And I hope you'll join me. Tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show, John Rothman will be joining us. Let me see who else, because I thought there were some other guests, and I don't think we mentioned it on the Mark Thompson Show. John Rothman is the one I've got. So we'll do John Rothman tomorrow. And I hope you'll join me here on the After Party Live for a nice slew of waterfalls. If you have any ideas of which kinds of waterfalls you'd like to see or where in the world we should go, you can always find me, Kim at theafterparty.live. Please go ahead and send me messages there and not on Facebook, because I will see them if you email them to me. And I don't always check Facebook. So I will see you guys tomorrow. But until we meet again, please go out and make it the very best day. And I'll see you tomorrow on the old YouTube. All right. Bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
I gonna show pictures? I'll show pictures. I'll put that together, Mo. So requested. So answered.